Joining me now is Mary Rice Hassan, Director of the Catholic Women's Forum at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Mary, thank you for joining us. Welcome back.
Great.
For Catholics, the Catechism teaches us, and I'm going to quote here, to bear witness to God who is the truth and wills the truth. We've heard two very different stories here today from Judge Kavanaugh and from Dr. Blasey Ford. How are we as Catholics to determine who is being truthful in situations like this?
I think one thing that's important is not to make everything into an either or, because sometimes you can have simply a difference of perception, or you can have someone honestly believing one thing and another person honestly believing something different, and the two conflict. And that may be what's going on here. And I think one of my concerns after watching the hearings is that for Americans looking at sound bites, I think the Democrats won the sound bites in the sense that she was very appealing or memorable, I think, when she said she was 100% sure that Brett Kavanaugh was the person who assaulted her. But I think on the other hand, Brett Kavanaugh and the questioning by the prosecutor from Arizona did a really important thing by laying out the inconsistencies. And so I think Republicans prevailed when it comes to the evidence, to really showing that an allegation is one thing, but that doesn't mean it's substantiated or it's even true.
We have learned so much recently about victims of sexual abuse, unfortunately, and misconduct, including the clergy sex abuse scandal. What message do we take away from all of this?
I think a number of things. One, that the truth matters, that we need to encourage people when they've suffered something to come forward and to be truthful, and that it's important to hear things, but it's important not to prejudge. And I think that was one of the problems over the past couple of weeks, that it seemed like things spiraled out of control. And we've seen that in the same way with the clergy sex abuse crisis, with some of the media running with the most sensational things and the good names of some priests or some bishops being dragged through the mud. So we have to remember these are real people who've suffered, and yet there are real people who are being accused, and it's not always true.
You invited me last December to be part of a panel about the Catholic woman's response to the Me Too movement. 9 months later, what's the answer?
I think we have to be careful. I think we do need to listen to people's experiences. But I think one of the things that troubles me now is that I'm not sure we as a culture are going in the right direction, because the clear message should be just a new awareness of the seriousness of sexuality and the need to really respect others in every circumstance. You never use a person sexually. But I don't think that's necessarily the message that the culture is taking away. There's the overriding message is, we believe women. Well, okay, you want women to come forward with their stories, but realizing it's not always true, and we need to protect men's reputations as well.
And one of the things that I have been struck by in all of this is the impact that it has had on both of their families and on families of people who are watching this day in and listening to this day in and day out. How do we use this moment, or how should we talk about this as a family?
I think it is important to talk about it, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was with a group of women who were talking about that very fact, that this has been a good way to talk with their teenage sons, for example, about the need to be respectful of women, of girls, consistently. You know, you sort of don't get a pass. But also for girls, too, to realize they need to hold themselves in respect and not to allow people to treat them a certain way. And consent is not sort of the end or all it takes to solve this problem. We need to really go back and have real respect. So I encourage parents to talk about this. As difficult as it is, your kids are hearing about it.
They definitely are, and that includes my youngest, who's only 10 years old, and Brett Kavanaugh's, who is only 10 years old. It affects everyone in our society. Thank you so much for joining us, for your opinions and your thoughts. Mary Rice Hassan of the Ethics and Public Policy Center.
Thank you, Laura.